Craig, do you know if there were any internal discussions with the higher-ups about possibly putting him on the PUP list prior to training camp started? Because as you mentioned, he missed all of the OTAs, all of the off-season work before training camp. Did anybody say, hey, let's pump the brakes on this. Let's put him on the PUP. That way we save him and we can have him ready for the start of the regular season? Or was that something that was just bypassed?
Yeah, I don't think there were. I can't say for certain because I think they thought he was ready. I think they thought like, all right, training camp, he's good to go. Let's, we'll make sure that we don't ramp him up too quickly, but he's ready to go. And he was. And the problem is the leg's getting worse, not better. And he did get
And what is
hit.
it? Is it just the wear and tear of the workouts? It's just taking its toll?
I don't know. That's the thing. We have never been told what exactly is bothering him other than he doesn't trust it, which I don't know if he feels unstable on it. I don't know, structurally, like if he were to get an X-ray, is it not all the way healed? Like, I don't know. He's got plates in there. It may just be, for all we know, like his leg is going to feel different because he's got a plate in there. And he doesn't like how that feels, and this is how his leg feels now. He's going to have to get used to it. So I don't know, but it seems to be getting worse, not better, and obviously that is a terrible maintenance plan. The whole point of maintenance is to get things better, not to make them worse.
All right, and then, Craig sent us an internal email of all of sort of the research he's done behind the scenes and keeping us up to speed on everything. You touch on the medical staff in the email, and you're not a doctor, we're not a doctor, but a lot of people, this is just another example of another Redskin that's having medical issues, and people are sort of questioning, well, what is going on over there medically? Can you explain to the best of your understanding sort of how the Redskins medical staff factors in this, who's involved, and where we are with that?
Yeah, on any specific guy, not really. I don't know what to put on the doctors and what to put on the athletic training staff. What seems to be the consensus is that the strength staff does a great job. So the strength staff will put aside because they certainly internally, because I happen to know those guys and they're accountable, they would say like, oh, we're clearly not doing a good enough job. The external criticism seems to stay away from them and focuses on Larry Hess and the athletic training staff and the doctors. And
what is the beef with Hess?
I don't know specifically because I don't know, which guy, hey, this one's on the athletic training staff, this one's on the doctors, this one's on here, this one's on there. All I know is this. If we did radio shows that consistently got poor ratings, even if we, and so for some reason our boss, let's pretend we worked specifically for like an investment, whatever, and they don't know anything about radio, but they see all the things they're told, like, yeah, that makes sense. You guys seem to be doing the right things, but the results aren't there. Eventually they'd fire us. And that's kind of, I think, where some people in the building are at is, okay, I don't know enough to say exactly what you're doing wrong, but I do know that the results over a significant enough amount of time and enough of our best guys are bad enough that we need to do something else. And maybe it's a horrific string of bad luck, but the results are not good enough.
All right, let me ask you this, Craig.
Yeah.
What's the difference then between the strength and conditioning guys and the athletic training staff?
So the athletic training staff would do your, basically think of physical therapy.
Your PT after a surgery.
Yes. And so they're doing different kinds of exercises, stretching, dry needling,
right.
All those kinds of things, whereas the strength staff is just the weight room.
Right. And then when you hear whispers, the guys like Trent Williams and those guys, they're upset with the training staff.
I don't know
with the
exactly.
PT guys.
Again, it's either the PT guys, but there's also the team doctors, the actual surgeons. And that I know some people in the building for certain situations. Again, I don't know which is which, but sometimes, it's like, well, why do we need, for Colt? Why do we need 3 surgeries? What did you do on the first surgery that we need 3 of these things? Now, is that because the athletic training staff screwed up the recovery? I don't know. That's the thing. It's just when I talk to people around this team, the ire seems to go to those 2 areas, the athletic training staff and the medical staff, and the frustration seems to be there. Now, I think it also should be pointed out that when I suggested, well, why don't they, do this? Why doesn't Dan do this? I was stopped dead in my tracks. And they said nobody cares more about the players than Dan. So this is not a Dan Snyder doesn't care, doesn't want to thing. It is a nobody making the decisions about the medical people is a medical person. And thus, it's really hard to know exactly what they're doing wrong because we just don't know enough. And the same thing as analysts, looking at this situation and offering criticism, all I can do is say the results are clearly not satisfactory. And not to mention, they're not just from a football perspective, but from these are human beings who would like to function when they're 60. And you hope that there's not damage being done there, and so they can live without pain. But clearly, on the whole, the macro of this, it's not good enough, and there is a football effect as well because they don't have, for instance, one of their potential starting quarterbacks available.
Redskins beat reporter for 106.7 The Fan. And Craig, you lived through the quarterback nightmares of 2018, bringing in Sanchez and
I don't get a trigger warning on that.
and Josh Johnson. I find it impossible to believe that the Redskins, with all the question marks swirling around Colt McCoy and his health, that they're comfortable with just Case and a rookie. So they have to be in the market to bring somebody in, I would guess, over the next, week to 10 days leading up to the regular season. Or is that crazy on my part to think that?
It's not crazy. Your timeline could be wrong, though. It could be, let's extend it specifically to about 13 days.
Okay.
Because that then covers the weekend after cuts. And I think that they're probably just going to stick with what they have for the moment, and through the fourth preseason game perhaps even. But what happens if a veteran gets cut elsewhere? That guy becomes on the radar. And I think that's where you say, all right, is there someone somewhere, a team that has 3 quarterbacks in right now, winds up keeping 2 and cuts, and I don't even have a name for you, but cuts a guy who's been around the league, can operate an offense minimally, like on the Mark Sanchez, Josh Johnson level, but isn't some rookie who's going to go out there and not be able to function, not be able to call the plays, which is basically what they have now in McClendon, the fourth quarterback in the moment. So that's absolutely on their radar. I don't know exactly. The other alternative is there's some rookie or undrafted guy that they liked a lot that they think they can practice squad, and then they just hope and pray that guy doesn't have to play. But yeah, they're definitely going to have to keep an eye on that, and we'll see what options become available because I doubt there are any good ones out there right now.
All right, let's talk about some of the other guys that are banged up. Terry McLaurin, what's his deal? Paul Richardson, what's his deal? Cole Holcomb, these are guys that are all banged up.
Yeah, all 3 could play on Thursday. Today's a big day for Richardson. We're back out there a little bit later. He went through multiple conditioning sessions yesterday, and if his quad responds well, he could practice and then ultimately play on Thursday. Terry McLaurin could have played the other night. Basically, Jay asked him in pregame, like, hey, he fell on what was a ridiculous play by this young guy, Deion Harris, one of the rookies, or I guess another rookie, who had no business challenging him on a ball he was beat on. He played through him, and it's something you just don't do in practice. And so McLaurin hit the ground hard, bruised his tailbone. He's a little bit sore. Jay was like, "You're not playing." Holcomb's got an AC joint sprain. He's going to continue to practice. We'll see if they hold him out. If I was them, I'd let that thing heal. But there's a chance that he plays on Thursday, and if it was a regular season game, it seems like he would be good to go as well because he has been continually practicing.